let's get you started. I hope you had a chance to spend some quality time on your own before I rang you up. Your mate, Alejandra, said the two of you were here on holiday? She had nothing but praise for you, by the way. Said you almost single-handedly turned things around for her in Cuatro Colinas. Well, naturally I have pretty high expectations, but let's take our time getting to know each other first. I'll admit that it wasn't just her recounting your heroic antics that made me pick up the phone. She said you were, and I quote, stoic, practical, and probably born out in the bush somewhere. Just what I was looking for, in other words. Not far now. We built these outposts in the early 90s. They got the works, repurposed materials, solar roofs, rainwater tanks. That was back when people used to just call you a hippie. Now everything's sustainable, clean, green, eco-friendly. Hippies? Ha! Try trailblazers. And good for the environment doesn't have to mean bad for your back. It's pretty cozy inside. Go on, take a look. See, we got company. Better be Josh's doing, the brat. I told him to leave things be, but I guess he couldn't resist. Anyway, maybe it's just as well you get used to it. I'll fill you in later. Right, mate? See that camera on the table? Strap it to your chest and let me explain what exactly you're here for. There's a lookout tower not far away, so you can head up there and get a sense of the place while I flap my gums. Nice and tight now. Wouldn't want it coming off right when you've got a shot lined up. So, the plan. I want to turn this place into a year-round retreat for hunters like you and Alejandra. So I don't spend most of the year worrying about whether our native plants are going to get overrun by deer again. There's a lot of filmmaking talent out here, and it hasn't been put to good use lately, if you ask me. So we're going to make a commercial, show the world there's more to New Zealand than haka and halflings. And who better to demonstrate the thrill of the chase than an experienced hunter like yourself? See, our Widower's prime was back in the 80s. Most of the other hunters out here are equally long of tooth. We need someone young, new, dynamic. You. The camera will do most of the work, so you just have to make sure it's on when you head out to hunt. We have a couple of strategic locations on our list to get through. But let's get you that view first. There's the lookout tower, just up ahead. Just take that in. Spectacular, isn't it? This eastern area is all rolling hills and conifers. There's a line of mountains in the centre of the reserve, and native beech forest, and a lot of rain on the other side. You're not going to be outrunning anything out here, so don't try. Nothing like the mad dash to find your harvest once you have taken it slow and steady, though. Right, so remember Josh's little outposts have ammo of all this place doesn't receive a lot of government funding, unfortunately, and a couple of years ago we were running out of money for field research, and the outposts were in need of sprucing up. So I guess you could say we made a deal with the devil, the Hollywood devil to be exact. Long story short, they've just wrapped up filming for the final movie they were contracted to do. Some fantasy thing, shiny blade or shimmering dagger or something. Now let me check. Resplendent sword. I'll send you the blurb they gave me. My nephew tells me it's a big deal, but I'd certainly never heard of it before this. But yeah, as nice as it is that Te Awaroa's beauty is up on the silver screen for all to see, it's come with its share of problems, to say the least. The bigwigs left in a hurry, and we got left with a bunch of basically intact movie sets scattered here and there all over the reserve. Well, I'm telling you all of this because Josh just rang me up and said that he spotted another set on his way back. Not far from where I wanted you to try filming your first hunt. Can I trouble you to go clear it out? We can't run the risk of any of the props from the film featuring in our footage. Cheers. They call this the bush for a reason, you know. It's noisy as, though. Plant yourself in vegetation, sure. But don't move around in it when you're closing in on your target. My hearing your heart was at the murmurings of the forest. You've got all the time in the world out here, you know. Slow down. Become one with the wop-wops. Feels like only yesterday Josh dropped you off. You've gotten the hang of the place awfully quick, I must say. You know what a track is? Evidence you're not alone out there. Humbling, eh? Sometimes you've got to make animals think you're on their side. Calling's one way of doing it. Tricky little fella, eh? If at first you don't succeed and all that, you'll get the next one. Oh, what a mess. If I'd known this was going to happen, I never would have agreed to it. This isn't even the worst of it. Right, let's take it one by one. Just bundle them into crates and I'll get someone to swing by later and transport them out of the reserve. Quite the medieval fair. Looks more than a bit incongruous out here if you ask me. Are those real oranges? Good enough to eat, eh? I hope they didn't have an actual fire in that thing. Imagine if some silly townie kid had wandered over here and decided it would be a good idea. That's the last of them. What's that note? Props list. Foam statue of haughty elf standing proud, 9 foam warriors, 8 golden goblets, 3 green screens. This reads like a Christmas carol. See any of those? Bit dodgy. Townies must have been up here. Well, even though this isn't our mess to clean up, I should probably ask around and see if anyone knows what's happened to the missing props. The last thing we need is to get blamed for this. Maybe they did a very selective sweep. I'll see if anyone has a bigwig's numbers. Thanks for your help, Ihor. Let's move on. Before you head off and film your hunts, first we've got to set the scene, so to speak. The marketing team's looking for some photos for the reserve website, something to give people a taste of what this place has to offer. Now that we've dealt with that bloody mess, you think you could head over to Lake Wakaiti and snap a few shots for us? There's a willow tree there growing right out of the water that all the influencers or whatever they call themselves go bonkers for. It does make for a good photo op, I'll give it that.